What up, HyperChange? Welcome to another episode of G to a Milli, where I document building my portfolio in public. This is the 5th episode. It is 231 days into the challenge. Here is a look at the scorecard. I'm actually up 24.5% on the money I put in. So far, I've deposited $13,270 into the account. The current value of my G to a Milli account is $16,524. That's up 24.5%. If you invest in the S&P 500 with all the same money at the same time, instead of doing my strategy, just invest in the S&P 500, which I think is an amazing thing to do. And I almost think the whole point of this show will be to show that I can't even beat the S&P 500. I'm lucky and I'm ahead now. I get it, but eventually I won't be. But the S&P, you would have been up 11.7%. So showing you that just investing in the stock market is how to build wealth in the long term. If you had just kept your money as cash, 0% return, still $13,270. Yeah, maybe you could get a little bit of interest in it, but I'm not getting into the weeds in that. Point is, I guess I should be bragging more because I'm more than double the returns of the market already, and I'm feeling great about my portfolio. I also, there's been some, I got to put on my hater shades because I've got a lot of hate for the series, and a big reason I haven't made an update in a while is because I got so many people being like, Gally, you said you were going to put $1,000 in and only deposit $250 every week, and then you came out of nowhere and you deposited an extra $1,000 because Tesla stock was down. That was a super good time to buy, but it made it hard to follow, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I make all these videos to just try and spread love and education and like open source my journey. Like, I'm not really getting paid for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I do it because I have fun and I'm trying to document my journey, and I love the community I build. And I realized a couple of loud haters in the community ain't gonna stop me because I know most of y'all are smart schemers who want to have fun. So I've got good vibes here. This was to block the haters. So the haters have been blocked for G2 a Milli. Step aside. We are 231 days into the challenge. I'm up 24.5%. Here's the portfolio. You can look at it to see that it's real. I want to show y'all what I've been doing. And now the portfolio, just to get a sense here, is pretty much all Tesla, 80% or so of Tesla. Out of the $16,500, $13,500 is Tesla. I'm up 22% on that. Coinbase is my second biggest position with about 15% of my portfolio, up a good amount on that, 39%. My Bitcoin position. And then today, I did buy a little bit of Airbnb stock. And so I'm going to get a big rant of why I like Airbnb stock later in the episode. And I may even post that as its own episode because I love Airbnb stock. I think it's such a cool company. But this is the portfolio right now. So you're looking at pretty much like 80% Tesla, 15 to 20% crypto, and then a little bit of Airbnb rounding it out. That is what I'm doing now. Lots of thoughts on each of the positions. But first, I want to just kind of show you what I actually have been like doing with literally the account. I'm just going to scroll to see this so you can verify every move. And this is the whole point of this challenge. I'm literally 100% transparent here. But as you can see, I got rid of all this crap in my portfolio. I bought a little Rivian, bought a little Apple calls, which would have been good investments, but I was like, I don't like those long term. Focused in on Tesla. Have literally just been buying Tesla. Like, I do the $250 deposits into my account, then I straight up just buy Tesla. Then I deposited $923 because I saw Tesla was down at $175 a share, so I just put an extra G in, bought it. I think that's something I've felt has been really helpful in my investing career, is when one of my favorite companies gets hammered, and I know them really well, and I have this strong conviction of like, wow, I liked it at 200, now it's at 175. I'm going to put a little extra savings in my investment account and augment my current contribution plan because I want to jump on this opportunity of a company I love. So you're going to see me do that in a pattern. So I put in $1,000 and then put in another 1,000. And then what I do? Put in more Tesla at 172, another 250. Then I was buying Tesla here at 150. Then they reported earnings. After our earnings, it was 144. So I deposited another $500 and bought some Tesla at 144. So that's how I built my Tesla position. But it's not all perfect. Like in my most recent Tesla market buy, it was at 243 a share. And July 11th, like I've just been buying no matter what the price is. I guess my most recent buy would be here, which was $197. So I've been buying all over the place. And then today I bought a little bit of Airbnb at $118 a share. But overall, all my little Tesla buys and being strategic has got me to this $180 average cost per share, which I'm feeling really good about. So this is the G2 a Milli, and here's all the calculations. I think this is kind of a fun way to do it. This is how I actually do all the calculations, is a spreadsheet. So here you can see this is the chart of the return. I was way behind the stock market. Then I was ahead for a little bit, and then the S&P caught up, and then I was way ahead as Tesla stock has been doing good, and now I'm still kind of maintaining a good lead over the S&P for now. But we'll see how that goes. 200-something days in. So it's been a lot of fun. I got all the numbers crunching here for S&P and G to a milli. So this is how I'm calculating everything. Just can get a sense of it. Let's start with Tesla, because Tesla is, I've just been trickle buying Tesla. If you've been watching the channel, I've been a Tesla investor since 2012. I'm super long-term bullish on the company. Think their technology has amazing potential. But then I also, on a personal note, I've been signed out of social media for the past 2 weeks, which is amazing for my mental health. Cannot recommend it enough. But before I did that, I made a big note, and I tweeted about Tesla to Elon and to the team and was like, look, Elon, you're getting political, which is, it is what it is. And it's causing a massive backlash. And I feel like there's a classier way to do it. And I want to figure out a way to have us all move together. And it kind of went mini viral, got like 700,000 views. Elon replied, said, I hear you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Elon. Say what you will about Elon. Homie stays by his day ones. I feel like I'm a pipsqueak nobody to him who just helped him with Tesla. And he still like listens to me even when I say shit that's counter to what he wants, which to me is a real one. So I respect him on that level, but I had to say my piece. And so, this is going to get to my portfolio, but I had to say my piece of like, look, Tesla, I think is such a strong investment, but the way this boils down in my portfolio and Elon's political moves, and I'm trying to be very unbiased about this, very unemotional, very unrational, I don't even want to say my politics. I feel like no matter what I say, everyone's going to hate me. So, but my point is, you kind of increase the if I look at this from a pure markets perspective, you're increasing the existential risk of litigation from the Democrats. We've already seen this. Starlink getting kicked out of the FTC bids, Biden snubbing Elon at the EV convention a couple years ago. Like, it's clear the loss of the stock package. The legal system could be weaponized to screw over Elon Musk. That risk grows as he supports Trump more. So that is an existential risk that like the government will intervene in Tesla or some part of his empire, and that will hurt the company. So you got to think about that. The flip side is if he's in with Trump and Trump wins, that could be massive for Tesla, and you kind of get an offensive, president on his side anyway. So those are the kind of scenarios I see right now. But it's part of me is like deep down leaning towards, I have so much of my money in Tesla. Like G to a millis is pretty much representative of my real net worth, in that about 80 to 85% of my net worth is in Elon Musk related companies. Those are Tesla, SpaceX, and one other that I'm not allowed to talk about. So those are my three, and that pretty much all Tesla and SpaceX. But Tesla and SpaceX alone, which is direct exposure to Elon Musk, is like 85% of my portfolio. And I'm up huge on it, and I love it, and it's amazing. But it's also like, damn, okay, if the chance of the government messing with Elon's going up, the chance of him getting killed is going up because he's getting political, which I hate to even say, but like, it's grown up shit when you're dealing with all of your money. So you got to be rational when you think about what can happen. And so I just personally think, for me strategically, in my core personal account where I have like over 2,000 shares of Tesla that I've been holding for a decade, I did sell 1% or no, not even 1%, 0.5% of my other core Tesla position, because I want to invest in my own personal company. So that's just to me be transparent of like, because I have a new kind of like food related business idea that I want to launch. And so I liquidated a little Tesla to do that in my main account, but in my core account, I'm keeping it. And it's just to say, like, you got to be smart with your portfolio management. Like, I'm young enough to where I can have a super high risk tolerance. And if the next 6 months are a shit show because Elon Musk has some backlash and Tesla earnings go down, I don't care. I'm going to hold through it. It's going to be fine. But you got to be prepared for that. And so I also think I've been getting a little bit bogged down by everyone in my Seattle community being like, we hate Elon Musk. Like, can't believe he's backing Trump. Like, I grew up in Seattle, like the heart of Seattle, like down, like it's liberal. Like, it's very liberal. Like, that's kind of what got me into Tesla. Like, I'm a tree hugger. Like, I love sustainability and the idea that, and it's because I'm greedy, really, because I think the planet is our number one asset. It's our most valuable resource, is like nature and animals and the flora and fauna and diversity of life on Earth is our most valuable asset. So I'm greedy in that I want to protect that. And that is why my number one thing I care about a lot as a human on Earth is the Earth. And Tesla, I don't know, just represents such a big part of that. investment to me. That's like such a big tree hugger part of all this. So I don't know. That's where I got in. But the point is, the people that I grew up in, this, like a lot of my parents and my parents' friends, it's just, I don't know. They hate Elon. But you know what I realized is it's also kind of like most people, and then I talk to people outside my family, and it's like, you know what? Most people in America realize everyone has a political opinion. I think the beauty about America is that we can accept people with different opinions and have debates and have discussions and say it's okay for you to think differently. Just because you think differently, I'm not going to hate you and write you off. And I think most people will actually see that and say Tesla's a great car and has an amazing technology and is super sustainable. And who cares if Elon's a little crazy? The CEOs of all the products I buy are probably crazy. I just don't know about them. And I actually don't even think Elon's that crazy. My kind of devil's advocate take to this whole thing is the most important moment in American politics was at the EV National Convention. I mean, my lens, where they're all talking about electric vehicles and everyone's talking about how great GM is. Elon Musk doesn't get invited. And meanwhile, GM delivers 30 cars in the quarter made in Mexico. Elon builds 300,000 cars, sells 300,000 cars, most of them in the US, made in the US, unheard of, doesn't get invited or mentioned. So that was a moment where obviously that pissed the hell out of Elon. And he was like, the Democratic government isn't about what they say. They keep saying Green New Deal. They keep saying electric cars. We have the most dopest electric car company in the world, in America, generating massive wealth and sustainability for our economy. But they don't donate to us through a union. So we tell them, F you. That rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, politicians, I don't like them. I don't trust them. I got to be honest. So, and I think that is a metaphor for how Elon feels, for how a lot of the world felt, was kind of like this emperor's no clothes moment of like, oh, why was I dumb enough to think politicians actually had my best interest at heart? Like, that would have been like, why? Like, I actually feel like an idiot for thinking that. So anyway, I'm already probably way too deep to get in trouble on my politics, but politics are important. And if you're going to get involved in financial markets, you got to think about politics. How will this affect you? So my point being is, I think Tesla is still an incredible company with an amazing future. The $25,000 car, FSD, I'm as bullish ever on the long term. I just think there's a little bit of existential risk short term as Elon gets involved. And I bet he would probably acknowledge that risk of increased litigation and fuckery from the Democrats if he chooses the Republican side. So it's not like I'm just trying to be an unbiased, like, I feel like this is, it's hard for me because I feel like people listen to what I say now. You know, it's like not just like, oh, I'm going to say what I think. And then like, okay, it's like people are going to listen and Elon might hear it. And so a lot of me is like, whoa, don't say that. You don't want to piss people off, or you don't want to, say you're getting worried about Tesla, because then I get all this hate online. It's like, oh, I thought you were an all Tesla guy. Like, how can you have 1 second of thought of criticism for the company? And so it takes a lot of like mental fortitude for me to like really just try and think different and tell y'all what I think, because I know I'm going to get hate and bullshit, but I know most of you don't think that way. And most of the people watching are like, you know what, Gally, you're right. Like, Elon getting crazy political is going to add existential risk to Tesla. It's interesting to see how that thought process unfolds in you managing your portfolio. And that's what we're doing on the show. So my point is I am thinking about selling a piece of my Tesla stock. Like, I just sold a tiny 0.5%, not in this portfolio, my other one, to fund my tea company. Oh, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, and now, I don't know. So the other thing is I might sell a little bit of Tesla to buy more Airbnb, because I have like 80% of my portfolio in Tesla. And part of me is kind of like trying to take a pause moment of like, is that overexposure when the stock is worth $850 billion and we're only doing $8 billion in earnings? We have a 100x PE ratio, and we need a massive regulation on our side to get this FSD thing passed to justify the valuation, and robot humanoids passed. We need government people on our side. And so that's why to me it's so important that it's just, it could be a massive win if Republicans win and Elon's with the Republicans. But if the Democrats win and Elon's seen as this like crazy Republican person, then there could be a world where that backfires and hurts Tesla. So you got to think this through. So I'm watching, but that is my update on Tesla. Also, random side note on me saying I sold a little bit. Like Like one of my favorite friends, Matty Mogul, shout out to him, is like I've had him on my channel before. You probably know him. He's an incredible like thought leader in the Tesla space, but he also is a baller founder and runs one of the coolest companies, Tomb Garlic Dip, which see it at Costco. Amazing garlic dip. And he just starts on at farmers markets. Now he's huge. And every time I get him with like a dope like startup idea or some investment, I call him up. I'm like, bro, would you invest in this? He's like, honestly, I would, dude, but I don't invest in anyone except for myself. And I'm like, I think he's kind of BSing on that because he does invest in like Tesla and stuff. But that's kind of how I'm feeling in my career, is like I am I have built this massive snowball of financial assets, and now I want to cherry pick them into the real world. You ain't got the money till you spend it. That's what my boy Julian's grandma said from Brazil, where they had crazy inflation. I love that quote. You ain't got the money till you spend it. So my point is I did take a little of my guap off the table because I'm up huge and I want to fund my thing. I'm betting on myself. I'm pulling a Matty Mogul. I love Elon and his companies, but there's an entrepreneur with a funding round open at a much lower valuation with much higher upside that I can control, that I think has got potential, and it's what I'm working on. So as I'm doing G to a million, see this, like, don't get trapped in the box of like, oh, I got to invest in stocks and other people's ideas. Like eventually at one point, you know, have a goal. Like, do you want to cash out to buy a house? Do you want to cash out to retire, to spend more with your kids? Do you want to build up enough money so you can spend $50,000 on launching your company you've always wanted? So, you know, money is just a tool to do what you want. And that's super important to keep in mind. Like don't get obsessed with playing the video game and making guap. And you can, it's just numbers on a screen. So anyway, I'm getting crazy, but I haven't done G to a million. I'm missing y'all. There's so much I could say with Tesla, but I'll save it. So Airbnb, I want to talk about Airbnb because so here I'm on Main Street Data, mainstreetdata.com. I'm an investor advisor, awesome little website to do financial research. So Airbnb, and I've made a bunch of videos on Airbnb on my channel. Airbnb is such a fascinating company. I've been a customer for them for 10 years, did a trip to Croatia with my friends and met people in Croatia, had the best time ever, have since gone on like 26. I have 26 positive reviews on Airbnb on my profile. I've been there 10 years. I've been to like 10 countries. I just counted. I love Airbnb. This has been one of the hottest, and I'm giving into this, I'm showing this, the stock chart, telling you this story to give you some background here, because Airbnb was one of the hottest startups in the world. Like they were, so disruptive. They're changing how people travel. They're changing how people experience the world. They're opening up the world. They're giving you these amazing experiences. They're a tech company that you actually feel like is going to make the world better if they succeed. And I love that about Airbnb. And you know, I put Airbnb up there with like Tesla, Amazon, Whole Foods, Airbnb, you know, Twitter and X as companies that, whose products and services that are like a huge part of my life that I love, that like have kind of let me live this amazing life. And so Airbnb, because of all that success and disruption, was literally like this. Stratospheric straight line, about to IPO for $100 billion with $4 billion in revenue in 2019, 2018. Then what happens? COVID pandemic hits. The business is in shambles. Right as they're about to expand, they have to close everything down. The entire world stops travel. Airbnb gets the punch in the face that I don't know if it deserved or not, but that happened. And that as an investor now, you are so thankful for it. They got so lean. They got so hungry. That's the G check. You love that. A startup that's super successful needs to get the G check to get his shit back together and be lean and super profitable and go the distance. That's what happened during the pandemic. Then Airbnb gets out its IPO at the end of 2020, still pretty good, but still around that 100 billion mark. They're doing well, but Airbnb stock has pretty much gone nowhere. They've been able to grow revenue. Their financials are good, but they've been filling into this valuation. I just got off the conference call. Oh my God. This is a story of, to me, like Tesla a few years ago. Like all the analysts are nitpicking about these weird, you know, ratios, the MKR and this quota and the mix shift and this. They're missing the vision. It was the most boring, detailed, just pointless questions conference call I've heard in so long. The only parts I liked were where you get these couple moments where Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, comes on, starts talking brilliantly about his vision for the company. And those were the moments of like, wow, like when you hear him talk, you got to listen. But the analysts have their head in the sand. They have no idea what the fuck is going on. This is an incredible asset. Airbnb is one of the most sturdy businesses I can think of. Well, okay, first of all, let's talk about Brian Chesky, because I love Brian Chesky. Starts Airbnb out, puts like a cereal box with Obama's face on it to like launch, because he basically, actually, I might even have that cereal box. This IPO box that Public gave me was just super cool. So this is a thing that public.com, they're the ones who I run my portfolio on, awesome startup. When Airbnb IPO'd, they made this, IPOs, to commemorate the IPO, because when Airbnb was getting its start, they had to sell cereal boxes with like Obama's face on it or something to fund the company. So it's a little homage to it, but such a hustle grassroots story. This guy right here, Brian Chesky, went to RISD, designer, starts Airbnb, is one of the customers, is a host, lives in Airbnb, lives and breathes this shit, and to this day is running it. He is an owner, operator, founder. He is still only 42 years old. He's a designer. He's got the vision. He's leading the conference calls. This is so unique. You never find owner, operator, founders in the stock market today. Elon Musk is still one. Bezos is one when he was one when he was running Amazon. They're always the most long-term thinking, building shareholder value, actually changing the world shit CEOs. And so that's why this Airbnb thing hit me like a brick last night. I was up till 3 a.m. listening to all the conference calls, researching it, bought a little stock today. I actually have owned stock in the past, but now I'm like long-term position, like a new core of my portfolio. I'm starting today, or I did today, Tuesday, August 20th, to start actually building my position that I want to hold for decades and that I think could be like an amazing investment for 10 years plus to come. And why do I think that? Brian Chesky, owner, operator, founder. Got that trifecta, 42 years old, hungry as hell, Wall Street, head in the sand, asking these blah, blah, blah metric questions by 50-year-olds who have no idea what the future holds. Meanwhile, I'm spending 5 Gs to go live in New York in a couple months, drop my lease, become a nomad lifestyle, travel the world, meet new people, experience life in a new way that was never possible because of Airbnb. And I'm going to give them thousands and thousands of dollars and be so happy to do it. So it hit me like, and the stock is down 20% after earnings after a great quarter. Let's dive into the numbers, because this is the stock. This is right here. A big hit. I mean, I can't. So you got to remember, this like came up like this, like way kind of like this, hottest private company ever. And then like massive turmoil. They get the IPO out, finding the new bottom here. And I think we were going, anyway, not financial advice, but I think it's an amazing entry point for Airbnb. So seasonal business, as you can see, Q3, summer season, very profitable. Winter season, not as profitable, just goes along with travel. But very profitable business. Now let's max this out. Let's go to annual to kind of smooth it out here. And what's you're going to see? Airbnb when they were valued like almost $100 billion before pre-pandemic, $4 billion in revenue, losing money. Past 12 months, $10.5 billion in revenue, making $1.6 billion in profit. But that's not everything, because their actual cash flow is even better. The company's profitability, huge. Look at this. They're crushing it on all these levels. Free cash flow, $4.35 billion. This is a $75 billion company that's doing $4.35 billion in cash flow. We are talking about a free cash flow multiple of like 8%. So for every dollar, for Airbnb's valuation right now, you get basically for every dollar of stock you have, they're making 8 cents in cash flow. Why is that? That's insane. It's one of the most profitable companies I've ever seen. They're just getting started. You listen to Brian Chesky on the conference call. He's like, Amazon wasn't just books. You know what I mean? Look at what we're doing. Short-term rentals is our books, and that's $80 billion. We've gotten bigger than what Amazon did with their core business with just our short-term rentals. Now we're doing long-term rentals. That's even bigger. That's what I'm personally doing in New York. Then they're going to do experiences. So to me, Airbnb has just been focused on maximizing this wedge. Sure, growth is only, you're going to be like, yeah, guess what? Growth's only 10% right now. Like, they're not even growing anymore, right? Like, okay, in the last year, 17%. Trailing 12 months gross profit growth, revenue growth about 15.6% in the past 12 months. So yes, it's slowing, but Airbnb is already so big. So that's the thing that I think people are missing with Airbnb. It's like the growth is a little bit slow. The growth is, it's like they're literally at the capacity of like they are booking hundreds of millions of nights per week. I think they booked like 250 million nights stayed through the first 6 months of this year. There's 8 billion people on the planet. So we just had like 80 million's 1% of the planet times 4% of the planet has stayed in Airbnbs in the first 6 months of this year. You can't get much bigger than that. So Airbnb has maxed out this short-term rental opportunity, is so profitable in it. Everyone thinks they're done growing when they've just been focused on maximizing this. There's still growth left in that. And now they're going to layer on long-term rentals. They're going to layer on co-hosting, which is huge. In October, they're launching co-hosting. Means the biggest problem with Airbnb is everyone wants to put their vacation home on Airbnb, but they're never there. So now they're going to have a marketplace where you can basically have your home wherever, and you hire some local guy with ratings, and he takes care of it and manages it for you, and you make money. This is a massive friction decelerate. And this would not happen if you didn't have an owner, operator, founder like Brian Chesky, obsessed with the business, working on it 100%. He's coming up with this. He's constantly pushing, and this new co-host innovation is going to be crazy. Airbnb is going to make it so it's way easier to put your property on Airbnb. There's going to be way more properties on Airbnb. It's going to be way cheaper to be on Airbnb. Airbnb right now is still in its infancy to disrupt the housing market. You also have stock and revenue down because like in New York, they just banned short-term stays. You got to do a 30-day stay minimum for Airbnb, right? It's like, okay, so the hotel lobby is so corrupt. And as someone who goes to New York all the time, the hotel prices have quintupled. They're all making huge money, and it's super hard to visit. It's a horrible move for the city and just a backwards move of bureaucracy and some sort of hotel mafia bosses stopping innovation and free market capitalism. So right now, Airbnb stock is down because the product is so disruptive that they have rattled a hundreds of year industry to its knees, the New York hotel lobby, and they're so desperate and cannot compete with Airbnb, they're forced to litigate to compete. I love that. That means you are so disruptive. That means you are one of the dopest products out there if they have to sue you to stop you. So that's where I've got with Bitcoin too. Like that's what it was coming up with Bitcoin. It was always like, shit, this might get so big the government is scared it's going to disrupt the Federal Reserve. And like they start banning it and the SEC is going to fuck with it. And now that's happening. So Airbnb, like you have certain cities in Europe that are banning it for a little. So I think that's another reason why I'm bullish. You sort of have this short-term headwind of like, oh, well, sales are down because cities don't want it. Well, it's like, guess who wants it? Consumers, the free market. This temporary bureaucracy, red tape getting in the way of a tidal wave of capitalism coming to the real estate market that is Airbnb providing liquidity and unlocking value for millions of real estate owners, that ain't going away. That's coming. So that's my alpha. Is the skepticism of the market saying the growth is done, saying cities are going to fight back. That is my contrary take on all of those theories is the alpha. So that's Airbnb. Now, I want to show you the most important chart from their shareholder letter. You get an owner, operator, founder. You get somebody that cares about the stock. Airbnb is not just profitable in the sense of showing profits, this is another big rule I have. Like, if you are like, oh, we're making this much EBITDA and we're super profitable, blah, blah, like a lot of companies will say that. Well, let's boil it down to this. Are you actually like paying out money in the form of a dividend or buying back stock, or is cash piling up on your balance sheet? We should see one of those three things happening if you are a hella profitable company because you have guap you don't know what to do with. So Airbnb, look at this. They are buying back stock, and they're buying back this is probably outdated because the stock fell after they reported earnings, and they still have $5 billion on their share buyback program. So Airbnb can buy back $5 billion worth of stock. That is 8 to 9. That's what 7% of their market cap outstanding. They have already authorized on a share buyback. They have $12 billion in cash on the balance sheet. Airbnb could buy back 15% of its company right now with no dilution. So that's kind of what they're doing. They're diluting they're decreasing their share count at about 1 to 2% per year here. You can see. And their fully diluted share count has gone down from 705 million to 673 million. Tesla's share count up. Rivian's up. Almost every company's share count's going up. Airbnb has so much money and is managing this so well and is taking care of shareholders, thinking long-term. They're reducing the share count. This is going to continue. If you are a long-term shareholder in Airbnb, you are begging the stock to go down. You are begging the stock to stay flat because they are just going to soak up more shares, reduce that share count, and when it pops, it's going to go crazier. So that to me shows, I think Airbnb, even if that core business doesn't need to grow an insane amount, you could get an insane financial return because of the way it's structured with the buyback. I also think disrupting the restaurant industry and the food industry with the experiences business is even bigger than hotels and Airbnb, the Airbnb of food. I can have a dinner in my kitchen where I invite people. Everyone's had that business idea, but no one can pull it off. It's way harder than it sounds. I think Airbnb will eventually. And I kind of want to end it with just like, Airbnb makes me happy. Like, I love going to Airbnb. Like, I've had so many, like I went to Kyoto, Japan and had this amazing experience with Airbnb. Like, I've been to like all these cool countries and met the Airbnb host. They showed me around. Like, I felt like part of the country and like a citizen. Like, you live like these other people live instead of just living in a box of a hotel. And I think in a world where we're all feeling like very disconnected and very separated and, everyone's different, we're all fighting and, taking sides with wars on halfway across the world and from places we've never been. It's like, to me, Airbnb and fostering these connections and human connections and experiences, that's how we move beyond this. That's how we grow. That's how it's like, oh, like, you know what? Like, I had all these theories about these people, and then you just go stay in their home, and you're like that's the biggest takeaway from Airbnb with me, is that like people are so similar. Like, you think they're different because of their politics or their what they say online or what this, but when you actually spend time with people and get to their core, we're all very similar and have very same kind of like altruistic, good tendencies and just want the best for humanity. And I think Airbnb brings that out with its connections. So that's a big reason I fuck with it. And when I think about a company that I want to add to my portfolio in 10 years, it's a company that's building a change that I can be super proud to be a part of. And to me, Airbnb, like opening up the world of experiences and travel, making it accessible and fostering love and community, I fuck with that. And I think Brian Chesky is such a savage. Like, I love him as a CEO. So, and I love like that he's a designer and he puts like that beauty into the design of Airbnb's product. And so I actually want to give a shout out to Victor, and I'll play his question right now.
Hey Kelly, Victor from Denmark here. A few years ago, you said you'd be a buyer of Airbnb stock at under, I think, $100 billion valuation. They now generate around $4 billion a year in free cash flow. They have almost $15 billion in cash. And on the latest earning calls, Brian Chesky, he announced that they're now about to expand beyond the core of stays. And they're now going to leverage AI to create completely new products and services beyond sort of the core business. He mentioned, for instance, a personalized concierge service. So an idea that I found super exciting. My question is this still a company you'd consider adding to your portfolio? And if not, what would you need to see from them in order to change your mind? Thank you so much.
So this question is from Victor from Denmark, who he's been a homie for a long time, friend of the channel. And he submitted this in February after my last one. And I'm sorry, I'm not getting to all the questions now, but and so shout out to Victor. Thank you for that awesome question. And yeah, I mean, I've loved Airbnb for so long, and now you get to this point where the cash flow of $4 billion and the valuation of $75 billion is way too hard to ignore, because it shows that the market is so skeptical that Airbnb will not grow, but just continue this level of cash flow. So that is where I love the bet right now, because the bet is not that Airbnb is going to go crazy and boom and blah, blah, blah. It's that they'll just keep making $4 billion of cash flow. If we keep making $4 billion of cash flow, like, it's going to be great. We're going to keep buying back stock. Anyway, but I think there's going to be a lot of growth. So Airbnb is very rare to find so many things that I like about a company. And I really like it. Okay, editing the G2 Millie video, and I realized that I didn't answer the cool part of Victor's question, which is the AI concierge. So the way and I thought on the last conference call, Brian Chesky hit on this, the way you search on Airbnb in the future won't be like a search box experience. They're going to use AI to make it like this interactive thing, and it'll know you over time to be like your personal travel concierge or AI assistant. So I think that is a huge deal when you think about where Airbnb is going, what the future of travel is, and how right now it's like you like saying, I want to go to Rome these days, versus Airbnb telling you what days to go where and what the opportunities are and what you might like, and exploring new places. So I think what Victor brought up is the AI concierge is an incredible example of a differentiating product that Airbnb is working on. And also just another example of owner, operator, founder Brian Chesky thinking about the vision, not even thinking about the future of travel, but building the future of travel. So wanted to add that in there. And I want to continue doing these questions. I'm not going to do any more today because I'm tired, but people, hyperchangetv@gmail.com. I still have a couple from the last episodes I haven't done. Record yourself talking on your iPhone and send me a question. I'll try and get to it. I'm going to try and make the next G2 Millie video sooner, but I also kind of only make them when I have like big shit to say, right? Like my whole thing was like, I got a little Coinbase, little Bitcoin. Those positions I haven't touched. I've just been buying and nibbling on Tesla. I tweeted on X whenever I nibble on Tesla. Just been doing that consistently since I made last video. And now I'm making a little new change where I'm getting hella bullish on Airbnb, and my new 250s ain't going into Tesla because I got a lot of Tesla now. They're going into Airbnb because I like that diversification. I really like the opportunity right now. And that's G2 Millie for now. I don't, and I've been in the game long enough to know that this ain't gonna last. I'm up right now. I'm looking all like if this was me 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I would have been like, yup, like crushing the S&P. Like, you already know I'm a genius. Like, should have been a hedge fund manager. Like, like it's like, bro, like you up 20. You up? Oh, that's cute. Like, this is looking cute. Like, this ain't nothing. Like, it's going to take years for this to play out. And if I'm being honest, I think I'm not going to beat the S&P. I'm going to try, and I think I think I got a chance, but I don't even think I'm going to beat the S&P. So I don't think this lead's going to last. But anyway, I'm going to keep showing y'all. I'm having so much fun, like, just kind of getting back into the groove. Also, I make obviously less HyperChange videos than I used to, but I'm getting hella into, like, food. I love food. I'm a big foodie. Love bagels. And so I started a new YouTube channel called Artigiano. That means artisanal. It's like HyperChange, just a word I made up. And it's where I post videos about food. So if you want to follow my foodie YouTube channel, check that out. Other than that, not much. G2Amilli, let me know what you think in the comments. HyperChangeTV@gmail.com if you want to shoot me a question that I'll try to get to on the next one. And love y'all. Keep the positivity going through these crazy times. I personally logged out of my Instagram, my ex account. I don't scroll the feed. And I think that's been great for my mental health. I think y'all should try it. Anyway, G2Millie signing out. Peace.